My name is Jennifer McPeak, and last week I hit a wall. Ba la 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 la, jolly keyboard noises, holiday keyboard noises. It happens during every project, eventually, at least for me. I'll be feeling good about how things are going, feeling confident about what I'm putting on the page, the pacing, everything's going well. Or at least in my case, the edits are going really well. I either know how the story's going to end, or I have a plan in place to get myself to the finish line. And then suddenly I just hate it. I call it the mid-book meh. And it comes in varying degrees of severity. And those varying degrees of severity require varying degrees of troubleshooting. Sometimes I'm just bored of what I'm doing. It's a slow scene, and I just need to power through it until I get to the interesting stuff again. Sometimes I doubt my story's quality, and I'm not sure if any amount of editing is going to make it suitable for public consumption. Sometimes I hate my life and I want to throw my computer out the window and change my name and go live in the woods for the rest of my life. I got lucky this time, and it was just the bored one, because I have had the serious I want to live in the woods ones, and those are not really fun ones to work through. I'm actually surprised it took me so long to hit the mid-book miss. It's not that I don't like the story I'm writing or that I don't believe in it. The problem is I've read it 3 times in the last 6 months, and I'm ready to move on to something else. Normally, I would take this time away from the project and reflect and flesh out another idea I've got going on in my head. But I had a feeling that if I did that, I'd find excuses not to come back. I only have about one more round of edits to do, and that's just reading it out loud to make sure the sentences aren't clunky. Then I can send it out to beta readers. That's too far gone in the process to just abandon it and go find something else to do. I decided to turn my focus inward and do a little introspection on why I was bored of a story that I've read so many times already, and why this time around it struck me as meh. And what I decided was I had done a little bit too much info dumping on the current scene I was working on, the one that made me hit the wall. I had pages of dialogue explaining things that, while they will be important later, they're not important now, and they don't really have a bearing on the story I'm telling, so they gotta go. I pared it down and got rid of everything that I didn't think was absolutely necessary for the actual plot I'm working with in this book. In the end, I do believe it helped. It definitely got me out of that little slump, out of that wall, and I feel like that scene is stronger overall because of me actually sitting down and thinking about why, instead of just pushing it off to the side and ignoring it until I stopped being bored. So if you're having issues with a scene that you're writing, maybe think about why. It could be something as simple as you've done too much talking, or it could be that the scene just isn't a scene you need in your story. It won't work all the time. Sometimes the mid-book mehs are a sign you do need to move on to something else. It's not something you're passionate about anymore, and it's not something you're going to really enjoy finishing. And it's not something that you're going to be interested in doing edits on. And it's not something that you're going to really feel compelled to push. And that's fine. People's tastes change. People in general change. The first book I ever wrote in its entirety was a murder mystery thriller type book. And I don't write that anymore. And that's fine. But at least for me, when I hit the mid-book mez, it's because something's wrong. I've learned over the years which mez to ignore and which ones require a bit of thought on my part, but usually they are trying to tell me something, and I assume it's like that for a lot of people. Now, if I had given in to the mez this time, I would have abandoned this entire story and all the work that I have put into this story up to this point. What a waste that would have been, because I like this story. And I feel like it has a lot of potential for future stories. The idea of Slightly Supernatural has been in my head for a very long time. It stuck with me even when I hated myself as a writer. That's not something that I should just abandon, But that's just my experience with the mid-book mez. That's not even the official name for it. I honestly couldn't tell you what the real name for it is, if there even is a real name for it. So I took my boredom and figured out why I was bored. And that worked for me this time around. I'm not saying it'll work every time. My second book in the series, or whatever book I write next, it might be the case where I need to abandon the story. But that's a case by case. You won't know until you think about it. And it's not even just writing where you can get the mid-book mez. It could be any project you're working on. I have done cross-stitch projects where I have one right now that's been sitting in a drawer for 2.5 years. It could also be considered as part of like your work in progress, your whips, if you will. Let me know if you've got that kind of thing going on in your life, if there's a thing that you're just feeling meh about and you're not sure why you're feeling meh about it, and you're not sure if you need to keep going or if you need to go find something else to do. I am all ears, ready to listen to it, happy to hear about it. As always, let me know what you're reading, what you're writing, what you're up to. We've got the holidays coming up very soon. Hopefully you've got all your shopping done if that's something that you do. If not, hope you're enjoying yourself, taking it easy, and not stressing yourself out too much. With all that said, thank you so much for sticking around and watching the video. Hope you have a great day. See you next time. Later. Fa la 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 la, jolly keyboard noises, holiday keyboard noises.